past 9 months, I've been on a fat bulk. And bro, it's been insane. Finally, I wasn't small anymore. I gained a ton of size and strength. My joints felt loose for once. But I also got a little bit fat. Nothing crazy, but I definitely rinsed what this bulk was going to give me, and now it was time to cut. I'm telling you, this has been the easiest cut ever. I've been eating 3,600 calories every single day, no stressing, I can eat loads, I don't feel hungry all the damn time. You might be wondering how that's even possible. Like, bro, I'm not massive, I'm not a marathon runner or some elite strongman like Eddie Hall eating 10k calories a day. But there are some things that have allowed me to do this, and it's made it feel effortless, amazing, and so smooth. The first thing is high activity. Now you see, I'm trying to go all in when it comes to fitness, and so I am training every single day. I do 3.5 hour gym sessions, which might sound insane, but I rest a lot, and the way that I train means that I train pretty much everything. Calisthenics, some elements of powerlifting, some elements of bodybuilding. I do everything, man. And you see, that's one of the first things. So I train in the gym 3 days in a row, and then I take a rest day. But my quote-unquote rest day, I go on a run, often over 10 kilometers. So the thing is that I am doing this high activity. I'm training over 20 hours every single week, and of course, if I'm doing that much, then my maintenance is going to be high, because if I did nothing, someone around my height and weight would burn around 2,000 calories anyway. But then adding all of this in, it means that I easily burn another 1,500, 2,000 calories per day, which means that yeah, I can get away with cutting at 3,600 calories, which is really nice, because the first cut that I did, I had no idea what I was doing at all. No idea at all. And I was starving myself because I wanted to lose as much weight as possible, because I used to be fat, and that was the only thing that I cared about. But in doing so, I just got skinny fat, and I ate 1,000 calories, even 500 calories a lot of those days, and it was terrible, and that is not how I'd recommend cutting down. The easier way to cut isn't to starve yourself or to reduce how much you eat, but the easier way is just to increase your activity. And I'm not saying to do something crazy like me, not 20 plus hours a week, especially if you're not going all in on fitness, but just add some activity, do some more steps, maybe go on a run every once in a while, maybe make your gym sessions a little bit more frequent. Whatever you're doing, just increase the activity a bit. You'll find that cutting down isn't as hard anymore. By the way, I get people stronger than they ever thought possible, and so if that's something you're interested in, check out the link below. More about that later. Now the second thing that really helps me to cut down, even eating this many calories, is a high amount of muscle. And I'm not saying that I'm massive, by no means, but I've got some good size coming along. This bulk has helped me a lot, and I have a good amount of muscle. And what happens with muscle is that it's very metabolically active. It uses a lot of calories, a lot of protein, a lot of sugar, bro. So that's why actually, if you have even a decent amount of muscle, you pretty much eliminate the risk of diabetes, which is amazing, especially for people who are South Asian. You know how much of a problem it can be. It gets rid of so many of those problems. But also, it takes a lot of energy to sustain muscle, even if you're not crazy massive, even if you're completely natural and you've not been training for years and years and years, still, it does take a lot of energy to sustain, which means that your metabolism, the amount of calories you burn at rest, even while sitting down, even while sleeping, goes up, it skyrockets. And so, if you want to make cutting easier, having more muscle will definitely help. Now the next thing is pretty bro sciencey, okay? This is just a theory that I have, so don't take it at face value, take it with a grain of salt, bro, because I don't really think it's necessarily proven, but it's an interesting theory that might have some weight to it. So the first thing is that I used to be fat, right? I used to be obese as a teenager, which means I have this massive appetite. But that also means at least in my thinking, that maybe my baseline has always been elevated because of that. Maybe because I used to eat so much, now I can get away with it because my body has been used to it. So that's one of the things. So if you used to be fat, maybe that also gives you this kind of advantage where in fact it might be easier to cut whilst eating more calories as opposed to someone who didn't grow up fat. So that might be something interesting. The other bro sciencey thing is that I believe that if you train calisthenics and running, potentially there might be a thing in the body where it means that your body is incentivized to stay lean, because calisthenics involves you being in control of your body weight, and ideally you want to be as muscular as possible and as lean as possible when it comes to calisthenics. And with running, of course, you don't want to be too overweight either. And look, the body's fascinating, man. If you do things that induce you to be leaner or want you to be leaner, like calisthenics and running demand that you be leaner, well then maybe that is where your body goes towards. And this is just my theory. I don't think there's scientific proof or studies about this, but maybe if you used to have these things, if you used to be fat, if you train calisthenics and running or certain sports that demand that you be a bit leaner, potentially that signals something to the body. So that's something that could be interesting. Now, practically speaking, how do I put this into action? Well, the first thing that makes cutting really, really easy is intermittent fasting. Now, I don't make this into something crazy that I'm really stressing about. Basically, most of the morning and afternoon, I don't eat much. Often I don't eat anything, or sometimes I'll just have some bananas or pre-workout or something like that. But I keep myself not having too many calories for most of it. And look, if you're someone who has a small appetite, I wouldn't recommend this. But if you're someone who used to have a huge appetite, like me, eating 2 whole pizzas at once, then yeah, maybe intermittent fasting might be good for you. If you have a small appetite, if you grew up skinny, probably not. But I will say it does make cutting quite easy, because if you get used to it, you really don't feel that hungry in that time. And it has some mental and physical benefits as well. You just feel sharper because your body's not worrying about digestion all the time. So that helps me practically. Then when it comes to the meals that I have, I'm not stressed about having junk food and stuff like that. I'm really not. Because a lot of people are stressing so much about processed food and all these chemicals and stuff like that. But look, I've been reading ingredients for over 10 years because when I was younger, I had to do that for my parents, making sure that stuff was halal and we were able to eat it. After that, I've done that when it comes to me being plant-based and vegan and all that kind of stuff. I've been checking ingredients for a long time, and when people say, oh no, you can't have all of this stuff, you can't be having methyl cellulose or phenylalanine, like what are these chemicals that you can't even pronounce? The truth is that most of them aren't that deep, yeah? Of course, ideally, you do want to have more whole foods. I'm not saying anything against that. You know what's healthier, you know what's likely to be unhealthy, but don't stress too much about junk food, yeah? If you keep things 70, 80% clean, 20, 30% dirty, if you want to call it that, it's really not that bad. It makes cutting and bulking a lot easier on you, yeah? And if you can go without those things, sure, do that. And if you want to test your discipline and really want to be fully aligned to everything when it comes to diet and who you want to be, then of course, do that. But if you find that it causes more suffering than pleasure for you, then feel free to have some cheating. Feel free to have some junk food. That's my philosophy anyway. You might disagree with me, that's fair enough. And then the next thing is that I just make sure to recover properly, man. I make sure that I sleep enough, at least 8-9 hours in bed every single night. I make sure that I'm having enough water. I have my supplements, I have my collagen, I have my multivitamins, my omega-3s, all of this kind of stuff. I make sure to get all of it. And so that helps me a lot practically. And if you're interested to see how this ends up, on the 22nd of September this year, it's my birthday. And I'm turning 22 years old. And on that date, I'm going to be doing a physique reveal. So right now I'm only showing you the back. I'm not going to show you the whole physique, but on the 22nd of September this year, you will see that. So if you do want to stick around and are curious about what might happen, take note of that date and I'll see you there. Now the next thing when it comes to cutting down is something about belief. I believe that belief is something that is very, very important, and the truth is that a lot of people have these negative or stressful beliefs about what might happen. So I have a friend, right, who is a grown man, but he was eating like 1,800, 2,000 calories on the cut. He was doing this kind of weird starvation mindset that I used to have, so I can't blame him for it. But because he was stressing so much about it, and because he believed that eating more than like 2,200 calories was going to make him fat, well, I believe that a lot of that belief has this kind of placebo effect. It makes you stressful. It makes you have more cortisol, more of that hormone within your body. It makes you worry so much, which in fact has physical effects, right? Anything mental has a physical counterpart to it, bro. So of course, if you're stressing about it, then it's gonna be something that's more real. So the point is that you don't need to be stressing about these things too much. You can completely eat more and lose weight, and if that isn't the case, then just reduce the calories a little bit, increase the activity a bit. So make sure to get enough protein, make sure to have good recovery, and you'll be chilling, you'll be absolutely fine. And putting these all together, that is how I'm cutting at 3,600 calories a day. Training over 20 hours a week, buffing my metabolism through muscle gain, making sure to put the calories to use through recovery, not stressing, and making use of possibly some bro science as well. And it works, bro. I've already accomplished all of this, and this is where I'm going. I'm sure you didn't believe that it was possible to cut at 3,600 calories, but I've just shown you that it is. And you see, that's part of what I'm trying to show you, bro. My training philosophy is that there are no limits. You can be big, you can be fast, strong, mobile, all at the same time. Nothing has to limit you, whether that's your genetics, environment, or your lifestyle. You can do it all. And yes, for most people it's harder, but for you, it doesn't have to be. There are so many things that no one tells you about training, the mindsets behind it, how to combine multiple disciplines if that's what you want. But through over 1,000 workouts and years of learning, I've made the process seamless for you. And here's everything you get as well. And bro, it's exciting. Every single week you skyrocket in progress, seeing everything go up. It's so addictive that it should low-key be illegal though. It feels electric along every step of the way. And so, if you want to get stronger than you ever thought possible, check out the link below. And as always, remember bro, keep improving.